Okay. We're live, baby. We're live.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Holistic Nootropics live stream for the week of August 18th. Me here, Eric, with holisticnootropics.com. Got producer Nick Extraordinaire with us today, live on the stream. Nick,
Yes.
what's happening?
Hey, not much. When I put my hand up, I realized that I still have my when you go to the beach down in Jersey, you have to pay to get onto the beach, and they give you these things. And I realized that I've had it on since Sunday.
That's
so
disgusting.
But I mean, they're relatively durable. I mean, like I don't know. Maybe I should just I obviously subconsciously really like bracelets for some reason. And so there's probably like a sense of security or something that I get from it. So maybe I should look into, are there any, maybe I just should get like a fitness tracker, although I do use the Aura Ring.
Get a watch, dude.
I see the thing about, okay.
What?
We can get into all
No,
of my failed fitness tracking experiments. Still, the only thing that is stuck is the Aura Ring. So,
well, these fitness trackers, really most of them leave a lot to be desired. I mean, I've seen the Fitbit. I've never used it, but I know it's like, it's like using it like the first iPhone.
Yeah, it's like having a beeper, or a pager, like compared to
the idea is there. It's like, oh, I'm tracking my steps.
Oh yeah.
And it might have some other, I don't know what a Fitbit nowadays has. I'm sure they've stepped up their game, but all the professionals that I've talked to, it's just hands down the Aura Ring is the one for those. Not for fitness, for heart rate variability, sleep, et cetera, et cetera. Fitness, it's not a great fitness tracker.
Yeah.
If you want to track fitness, maybe I believe a Whoop strap seems to be the best.
A Whoop strap.
Because you can, and I just see a lot of people working out with the Whoop strap metrics.
Whoop strap clan ain't none of the.
Actually, there's what I really like. A lot of people shit on these fitness trackers, and it's like, oh my god, it's so much information. But there's actually some cool dashboards now, because now you have the infrastructure of the fitness trackers, and now you're getting these dashboards that are coming out that are like, oh hey, all that information you got, put it in the dashboard and we can synthesize it for you and tell you what's going on with you. And there's one, I believe it's called High End Health, that I was talking to this guy about, the Zona Plus, and he mentioned this company, and you can load up all your Zona Plus info, you can load up your Aura Ring info in this thing, and what is it? Heads Up Health. That's what it's called. Heads Up Health. And so I mean, it's like, hey, if you're gonna do all this tracking, it's like, put it in a dashboard, synthesize the information, then you can be like, oh, I don't know what it says, but I'm sure it's useful enough, because it's like, okay, for me, the Aura Ring was a game changer, because it breaks it down in such an elementary type way. It's like, okay, here's your sleep score, here's your readiness score. That's really, I mean, that's all you need.
When I first got it, I was like, where's all the live data? Like, where's all the, I was expecting this huge, just sort of like readout and all these things. And it was like, for live data, you have to, there was like maybe a workaround for it, but it's not really for tracking like your current heart rate, or that's like not the
that's not what you do.
You
just get, it's like this is when you, and what I actually like doing now is I like to do the take a moment tab and do a meditation, or if I'm doing a yoga thing and I'm like, okay, you can hit the Shavasana, I'll do the take a moment, and then you can register in as much real time as you can, like your heart rate variability, your heart rate, your skin temperature. Since I've had the Aura, now I've been getting into these different, like, really geeky things, like temperature, and respiratory rate. Like,
Mhm.
who thinks of that? But it actually tells, you know, an interesting story. Um, Temperature is really interesting, especially for women during their menstrual cycle. It's really cool to see like how the temperature of the body changes. And this plays, and Aura knows. You know, you can set Aura and go, hey, like, you know,
Send
I'm
me a
having my period.
send me a push notification.
Yeah.
Right
Aura
before.
will tell you, hey, you're on your period.
Yeah.
Not sure if you know it.
Great.
It's there.
Yeah.
And we know because your temperature.
Hmm.
Actually,
Well, if I still have this on in a week, we'll maybe that's when I'll transition to the wristband. I'm waiting for Aura Ring to come out with an earring. I think I might re-pierce my ears if they come out with an ear, like a cool little hoop earring that you can wear.
that would be a great tracker,
Yeah.
an earring tracker, and just really like hoops, not
Hmm.
studs, hoops.
Hoops has to be.
Has to be the hoops.
Um, Oh, I don't know. I mean, like you could probably so some of the this could work as like a gauge, you know, like where like have like their uh the gauges in their ears. I've seen people with bigger gauges than that for sure.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, the
like
gauge is cool.
walking around. Yeah,
Yeah, I could get down with the gauge.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it would track. I don't know, like if you can feel your heart beat in your ear, but
yeah.
um,
Well, there are connections to the vagus nerve in there somewhere. So,
well, there it is. Now we can
and
test your sympathetic tone, and we can
yeah,
know, hey, fight or flight, rest and digest. Today's a good day to work out. Today, you might want to take it easy.
yeah,
All from the gauge.
hmm,
Love it.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So some interesting things coming across my my radar here to talk about on the stream. Oh, no more interesting than the Chrome updates, than the MacBook updates that want to obviously track my every move and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
report it to Xi Jinping. But will remind me tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah.
This was a fun one that I came across. New study: children get 2/3. Oh, let me. You know what? I'm going to take you up on this screen share deal, and let's see if I can share the screen so I can bring up this study.
Powered by StreamYard.
Thank you, StreamYard. Where is it? Children get 2/3. There we are. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Success.
Children get 2/3 of, yeah, there it is. 2/3 of their calories from ultra processed foods. So, maybe your common person might look at that and go, big deal.
Yep. Hey, they're getting calories.
They're getting
You know?
calories.
They're
At least they're
getting-
not
they're-
starving.
At least they're not starving. I mean, food insecurity is a huge issue. But yes,
What's
so-
also a big issue too is the fact that there are fat homeless people. There are obese homeless people.
Right.
When you see that in real time and you go, that's a fat homeless person.
Mhm.
But when you actually sit down,
it actually doesn't even faze me anymore because I mean, maybe like it was like a complete oxymoron to me, and maybe like my early 20s, and then it's so common that
Right.
that our houseless population are just not in great shape.
No, it's unbelievable because you live in New York. I remember when I lived there, and yeah, you see overweight, obese, homeless people, and you don't think twice about it. You're like, okay, there's just another. At some point, they just kind of blend in to the rest of the New York, background.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to say that insensitively. It's like if you're in New York,
Mhm.
you know what that's like.
Yeah.
But when you actually sit back and go, what? How does that even happen? And what does that even mean?
Mhm.
Well, what it means is that the most accessible foods, because that's what you got to imagine a homeless person's eating. The most accessible, easy to get, cheapest foods that are probably the most popular are the most toxic, obesity-inducing foods that we have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all like shelf ready stuff, and you know, if the things that are nutritious do not sit on a shelf that long,
Yeah.
right? Like because they'll go bad. Like because it's fresh food. You know, I mean, all of the things that you see on the shelf, like you know, Twinkies and honey buns, and you know, even breads that you would think you would look at and the branding would imply that it was healthy. You know, it's like there's uh no fiber in them, right? Because like if there's actual like fiber in them, they will go bad. You know.
Yeah, but when you look at the ingredients of the bread that you're talking about,
Mhm.
it will shock you. And
Yeah.
this is how you know that people just don't know how to read labels, because if you looked at the ingredient list of bread, there is 1 part bread, 100 parts all the other shit.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
and you got to wonder, like, what, I thought people made bread like you make dough with like a couple of ingredients, you
Mhm.
knead it, you do it, you pound it, you pop it in the oven, you
Mhm.
got bread.
Right.
You know, we make bread here sometimes. I don't make it, the
Mhm.
wife makes it.
Mhm.
And you know, she uses chickpea flour, and it's like chickpea flour, water, and I think like 1 or 2 things,
You know,
right?
it's funny you mentioned that. I'll come back to it, but I actually bought chickpea pasta last night,
Oh, okay.
and
Good pasta.
yeah, I haven't tried. I was just looking at the labels, you know, and I was like, okay, carbs to fiber ratio. Okay, this kind of it's not great, but you know, kind of checks out.
But what you
But
got to do is you got to look at the other ingredients part, the
right.
part that they make the
Hmm.
most difficult to read for a
Hmm.
reason. They don't
Yeah.
want you. They don't want you to read it. And it wasn't
Right.
until I got into all this that I started reading, like, oh, okay, carbs, fat, sugar, protein, you know, total carbohydrates, whatever. Like that. That's the easy part of the label, and that's how most people live their lives. Is like,
Hmm.
it's got protein, it's got no fat. Woo, taking it home.
Totally.
But what you got to do is you got to look at other stuff down below that, because like people don't realize it's like all of these fillers and sodium dioxide. There's like 100 different names for sugar that are
Hmm.
in there. So, you know, you don't have to put like, what is it? Maltodextrin. I believe that's a
No.
sugar.
Hmm.
You don't have to put that under the sugar category.
Oh,
You just like,
and even artificial sweeteners, even worse. You know,
look at a thing
that
of
are in
bread.
these bread. Yeah. Hmm.
Look at a thing of bread. You will see multiple types of sugar. You will see at least one artificial sweetener.
Right.
You'll see, you know, different chemicals. You can't even pronounce the names of them. You know, you'll see like canola oil. You'll see all kinds of stuff, and you're like, "What
Hmm.
the? It was bread, right?" And
Hmm.
that's actually the stuff that makes it so it lasts on the shelf for so long.
Hmm.
So,
Right. And the thing is like the more of those chemicals you're putting in, it's like the less room there is for actual bread. You
right.
know, so it's like what percentage of this, you know, by the time we're done is actually like wheat, and you know, and it's that's the thing. It's like you don't know because they don't tell you the percentage on the label, which
Exactly. You have no
yeah.
idea the percentage.
Hmm.
And you know, that's the thing too. Like everyone has this gluten thing, you know, and when you dive into the research on gluten, it is compelling, and it is something that you're like, yeah, I should probably stay away from that, especially if you're a woman with thyroid issues. Um, and I mean, if you're anybody with autoimmune issues, it's like just get rid of bread, you know, just
Right.
get rid of it. And everyone,
Definitely is like you know, I would say for me in my experience, because I can only really speak to that, but just like doing that, you know, like as a starting point, like you're just like, okay, I could maybe not have bread for a month. Like, you know,
right?
it's hard. It's very hard
Yeah.
because, um, once you're used to eating bread, all which almost everyone is, like, it's like you don't even realize how much bread you're eating until you say, okay, I'm not going to eat bread. And then like every opportunity to eat bread that comes up, you're like, oh, no, I don't do that. Or like, I'm abstaining. And then like, it sort of like rebalances your relationship to that one thing, right? And then you say, okay, like, maybe get rid, like I did keto for a long time, and like, after a while you start having like dreams of bread, and like, waking up in a fever sweat from, like, and it's just like, what was this bread doing to me?
Well, I'll tell
Um,
you, there's
the cake dreams, those were
yeah.
like where, like, 3 weeks into, not eating any carbs, it's like, night after night, just dreams of eating cake, like very vivid, like, and yeah, it
What kind of, is it
certainly,
like wedding cake, birthday cake? Like is it,
it's specifically like chocolate. It's like the best cake you ever had. It's like, but it's like, it's rather unremarkable in the dream. Like the cake, like it kind of just looks like, I don't know, something that you would buy in a box and bake yourself or whatever. But like, it feels like it's the best cake you ever had.
that's so
um
interesting, dude, because so gluten actually triggers neurons in your brain, the same neurons that morphine that morphine does, because
mhm,
gluten breaks down, has a component to it called gluteomorphine, which is like it's essentially morphine. It's
mhm.
essentially like an opiate. So when you're eating bread all the time, you're essentially like becoming physically addicted to the bread.
Oh, no doubt.
Not
Mhm,
to mention, the carbohydrate factor, which is going to mess with your blood sugar. So,
mhm.
especially when you start going keto, people start dealing with like severe hypoglycemia.
Oh,
And
those first few days, it's
mhm,
like, it's pretty crazy that,
it's pretty crazy. And
mhm,
then you have all of the other ingredients that are in bread that you're no longer getting.
mhm,
So your body's like literally, finally, you're starting to feel your liver start to essentially detox your body,
right.
to detox these chemicals out of your body, and that's
Mhm.
going to create a certain reaction.
Oh
So
yeah.
you just always got to remember your body is a chemistry lab,
Mhm,
and everything you put in, it's chemicals.
mhm.
Whether it's like an apple that you picked off a tree, or it's like an apple flavored gummy worm. It's all chemicals of some sort. It's just a matter of, somehow your body knows if it's from nature. Your body knows what to do with it. When it's from a
Yes.
lab,
Mhm.
your body's like, I've never seen most of the things in this, so we're gonna just start, shooting off all of these different hormones that allow us to properly digest this stuff. One
Mhm.
of which is going to be cortisol, because your body's essentially stressing now. You've created the same phenomenon eating a gummy worm that your brain thinks is like, I'm running from a fucking lion.
Mm.
So your body's now stressed, your brain is stressed, and then you kind of build like this, I don't want to say like trauma, but you do build like a neural groove of trauma with
Mhm.
like this inundation of chemicals that, again, like it's not like you've been taken hostage by
Mhm.
the Taliban, and you get released and now you're like traumatized, but
Mhm.
it's like a much it's still going to be
It's
trauma
it's yeah,
interpreted by your body.
it's neurochemical, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so when you finally stop that, it's like your body is now processing all the stuff. Your body's like, oh my God, like we're free from the Taliban. So, you stopped eating bread, and it's like, okay, I don't have, some guy with a sword threatening to, chop off my head that's under a
Mhm.
bag.
Mhm.
So now we can finally start working. So your body starts working. And dude, people really underestimate the power of these detox reactions.
Mhm.
Like when you start getting things moving, and, again, the hormones, all this stuff, like because you see all the videos and you work on the site,
Mhm.
like these chemicals, they all kind of work together, and it's very unpredictable. Like when you've got dopamine going here, serotonin going there, cortisol going there, and then the detox is happening. It's creating reactive oxidative species and inflammation. I mean, it's just a cascade of reactions happening in your body. So when you go to sleep, yeah, I would imagine you start having some crazy ass dreams, because it's, again, I'm not a neuroscientist, so I don't know the science of dreaming, but I would imagine it's essentially a mental interpretation of like what the trauma, what the drama, not the trauma, the drama happening in your body from quitting carbohydrates, specifically something like bread. But that was a bit of an aside. To get back to the idea of like, how do homeless people get so fat, right? And it's because, like we just said, all of these just super available cheap foods that you find in like the food deserts, right? The cheap grocery stores, the convenience stores, the bodegas. It's like you're not eating food. You're eating cardboard and chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So, your body again stresses out. It's like, what do I do with all this stuff? If I have like, a thing of bread that's a week or two old, and I get like a couple potato chips here, I'm drinking a Coke.
I mean, like when I was a kid, it was like, it got $1.50 for lunch money. It's like, then that's how much school lunch costs, maybe showing my age here a little bit, but, and then there's the snack cart, and it's like, oh, you can get an ice cream and a bag of chips, and I mean, and that's your meal. It's like, okay, do that. And then maybe like go to the store after school and get, something else off the shelf. It's like that's 2/3 of a child's diet right there.
Yeah, dude.
And
that's the crazy thing too. Like we all did that. Like if you grew up in the 90s,
we all did that. Oh yeah.
If you grew up in the 90s, nobody was talking about keto. Nobody was talking about paleo. There were people like, I got to lose weight. What do I do? Just start running, asshole.
Yeah.
Go run.
Jenny Craig. I don't know what it is, but there are commercials for it. People seem to be losing weight. So,
Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers. Those are the two.
Tommy Lasorda, Jenny Craig and Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
So that was how you lost weight.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Atkins came along after like a little while, but he was like, he had his infomercials, and I remember.
And it worked.
Yeah.
That was the crazy thing. The Atkins diet worked. But so like when you're a kid, you think like, oh yeah, all of my food I eat, it's like potato chips and Slurpees and soda. I mean, my diet was just abysmal when I was a child. And I would be surprised if more than 2/3 of my calories came from ultra processed foods. But we're really underestimating why that's such a problem. Because now what you have are these kids who are much more sedentary than we were when we were kids. Yeah. Like there were video games. I played a lot of video games, but I also was like, there was no internet. There was no streaming. There was no Netflix. There was no, there was no phones, cell phones. It was just, go out and play. And that's what you did. And even if I ate the same diet that kids today are, I was able to like essentially work it off.
Right.
There was just much more movement. Kids today aren't moving.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if like who I would be today if I ate even remotely how I do now, like as growing up. I
think about this all the time too. I think about that, and I think about if I would have done squats when I was like 16. If I would have done squats and I would have focused on like hip flexibility, right? Because I played sports I don't know if you played sports. I played sports when I was a kid. Yeah. And I was just like naturally like fast. And I was like, I wasn't like athletically gifted by any means, but I just enjoyed playing. So I just was like, okay at a couple things. But man, if I would have just been flexible and eaten like a complete opposite diet from what I ate, like ate the diet I ate now, then, and worked on leg strength, I think I would have gotten a scholarship to play football somewhere in college.
Yeah,
I think so.
Didn't you line up across from
T Suggs.
Terrell Suggs. Yeah,
T
yeah. I
Suggs.
remember you
Yeah.
telling me that story.
It's
Yeah.
the scariest
Funny.
moment of my life.
I mean,
Scariest moment.
but here's the thing. It's like he was probably working on leg strength.
No, I don't think
No,
those dudes
it
did
did no.
anything. I think they were just
Yeah,
they were
they
monsters
just
naturally.
out of the just
You have
out
to
of the realm.
understand, like I would see the Suggs family.
Hmm.
I mean, they were like they were a pack. You
Yeah.
know, it was a pack because one of them went to my school, and then the rest of them went to like a school down the street from us.
Hmm.
And you know, there was like the bowling alley and the movie theater. It was kind of all like around. And so
Hmm.
I would see the Suggs pack, and dude, all of them were just enormous.
Yeah.
Just enormous. All of them.
That guy is so funny.
And they would just dominate everything. Like they played football. T Suggs was the only one who like went on to do anything in football, and he did pretty well.
Yeah.
They would play basketball. They had their own like basketball, like rec basketball team, and I played in another. I played in a team that played them. They crushed our team, no joke. And I think it was like a 40-minute game. They 120 to like 18 or something like that. I mean, they were dunking. It was like you could even. I didn't even know how to dribble at that point. It was just. It was. I wish there was a camera, like somebody could have filmed it. It would have been on Bleacher Report for sure.
Oh,
it was so nonsensical.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't have gotten a scholarship to play college football. I'm over exaggerating.
Those scholarship spots are a little tough. I mean, I think they're probably tougher now.
They're definitely tougher now
than they were. I think like I don't know. I just with like the internet. I mean, you have to assume that like these things are because this information is out here. It's like oh yeah, do leg squats. And it's like
well, kids now
I guess
playing
leg
football.
Squats are the only kind of squats that really. There are no arm squats, right? Yeah.
Kids playing football now, it's so like it's like you have to put your kid in football at 7, and they have to go to all the camps.
Mm-hmm.
They have to, there's the specific trainers that will work on their footwork. Like I follow some of these it's I think it's called like QB, like quarterback Instagrams, and you just watch like kids anywhere between like 15 and like just getting into high school, and and I don't mean for this to sound creepy. It's like it's just watching kids play football.
Yeah.
But it's like you're watching these quarterbacks just do these drills, like some 16-year-old. I think it was yesterday. It was like this kid, class of 2025, and this kid is just throwing dimes everywhere, like 30 on the dot, 15, like dropping back, launching them. I mean, and the kid looked like he was 27.
Right.
Then it's like a freshman going to high school, and you're like, oh, because these parents, they're like, you're going to be a football player.
Yeah, I heard somewhere the other day that that kids are now skipping their last year of high school to go to play college ball. Like
that's pretty amazing.
I mean, makes sense. It's like just test out of it. Like hey, just go get your GED and we'll get you in, or whatever. But
I'll be honest with you, dude. If my kid shows any gifts like that, I will pull him out of school in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
in a heartbeat, and I'll get him like, let's get you to like. I'm not gonna like. I'm already like debating whether I'm gonna send my kid to public school.
Yeah,
or homeschool.
Yeah. It's like
I'm like at this point,
homeschooling seems much more especially since the old C word, a year and a half ago. And
to be honest with you, that's the last thing that worries me. It's more of like, what are you learning in school right now?
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm not saying it's like that has kind of like made people like sort of examine like, oh, okay. Like, is my kid actually better?
Right.
And if your kid is at home, you can sort of monitor what they're putting in their body. You can feed them. You can, I mean, not that like you want to be like a helicopter parent or whatever, but I mean, like, like a lot of the kids who are out there who like get hooked on soda and all this stuff. It's like they're going to their friends' houses or whatever. It's like, and there's a whole debate as to like whether or not you know, keeping things from kids is like, you know, a better parenting strategy than them like finding them on their own, or what am I trying to say, like, you know, where like abstinence is the best policy, right? Like and I don't mean that in but like
Yeah.
so
I know what you're saying. I
yeah.
can make peace. I can make peace with the kid, you know, having friends and making poor food
eating
choices,
fruit snacks.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I go, it's just what it is. Like I ate fruit snacks, I didn't die. It's okay, right? Like most people are not. That's not like the problem. The problem is like when the kid comes home, like I want the kid to know like this is the stuff. This is what food is. This is what nutrition is.
Right.
This is your baseline. When you go out there in the world, man, of course I want my kid to know what like soda tastes like. I'm going to take my kid to McDonald's, right? I'm going to judge him. I'm going to judge him when we're eating McDonald's. Like, you little fat piece of shit. Look at you wasting your life away. You think this is helping anybody right now? You don't feel yourself getting dumber? You don't feel your GABA glutamate receptor getting all funky? You don't feel that? I'm going to judge him.
We should record that sketch one day.
Just take the kid to McDonald's.
We'll find a kid to play your son, and that'll be the first holistic nootropics TikTok.
Love it. Oh my god! And then we'll do a TikTok dance. We'll coordinate a TikTok don't eat at McDonald's dance.
We'll one of us can dress up like Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
And
it'll be fun.
Yeah.
No, that's the kids in nutrition, man. It's like I think about this so much. Just the problem. Our generation might be the last generation that ate like shit when we were kids, but we can get over it. You know, like so many of us are dealing with, like, we have so many chronic issues as 30-year-olds right now, going into our 40s, that our parents didn't deal with just because, like, you know, like how many people do you know are 35, have a chronic autoimmune condition they can't get rid of. Right. They have like stubborn fat that just they've had it forever. Like we are fatter in our 30s than our parents were in their 30s.
Yeah.
So, and it's just because it's like in the 90s we were savages, right? Like we were just such savages with diet. And then it was like the beginning of the permanent sedentary lifestyle. You know, this is when video games were really blowing up. It's when you had more access to movies. You know, Blockbuster obviously was huge. It was just like the first time where it was like people just were sitting for much longer periods of time. The internet was just getting started. There was cool computer games, so people weren't moving as much. The diet was trash, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. And like I said, like when I was a kid, me and all my friends, we played outside. It was crazy. We just like would get together and we would just make up games, and it just involved us always running around and doing stuff. So it didn't matter how much soda I drank or how much, donuts I ate or whatever. My diet was crazy back then. I didn't get fat. Now it's like you have kids with fucking diabetes, dude. And it's like not type 1, type 2. Like that used to be called adult onset diabetes because it onset when you were an adult, not when you were a 14-year-old kid. But now that's common. Now, like, I don't know what this is. 4 out of 10 kids are obese. Like obese, not overweight. Like you're skinny or you're normal, then you're overweight, then you're obese. And when you're obese, that's when all the chronic problems come. There's kids with heart conditions. Like it's not because they were born with it, but because and I'm not trying to victim blame kids or victim shame kids. It's just it's just a product of the world we live in. And when parents are working as much as they do, it's like you come home with your parent, you don't have the time to like whip up like a 5-star meal. It's like, oh, I got this microwave dinner, or I got this like easy lasagna thing. Pop it in the oven.
Easy lasagna thing wins every time.
Always wins. Yeah. And it's like, hey, let's put this together too. You're heating it up in that little plastic tray, and that's not good for anybody, dude. I mean, that's just a brutal way to live your life. So if you just do that, if you just take the lasagna out of the plastic tray and put it in a glass dish, This will
Foil.
be a game
Yeah.
changer in your life, dude.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not gonna judge you for saying I gotta pop a thing in an oven. I got 10 minutes to feed this kid. You gotta do your thing, right? But take it out of the plastic, put it in a glass, and then you start to see, oh, all those problems that plastic was causing in my life.
Yeah, I
can
mean,
ameliorate that a little bit.
but at the same, it's like you look at the instructions. It's like, is it still gonna work without the, how many minutes if it's not the plastic?
I know. Aren't we just such sheep?
It's like,
Aren't we just? Don't we just need someone to tell us how to do things? Like, can you just put a piece of like a chunk of lasagna in the oven and just heat it? You need like step 1, open the package. That's like one of my favorite Jim Gaffigan bits, dude. I don't want to like rip it off, but it's like it's so good and it's so true.
I thought that last night when I was I did a bunch of grocery shopping and whatever, and I got a couple of frozen burritos, and I'm like looking at the instructions because like I forget how to make, or like every brand has a different timing or whatever, and these were Amy's. Shout out Amy's. Feel free to sponsor the show. We can be powered by Amy's burritos instead of StreamYard over there, but wrapped it in foil, and I was like, I should probably look up what this foil is like doing to the food, or like my body. Did I? No, but it's like, are all the benefits, which aren't many. I will, I mean, it's a bean and cheese burrito. And wrapped in tortilla. It's not like, the most nutritious thing to begin with, but like, am I? So I'm already starting like maybe here on like the nutrition scale, and then like are all the benefits of this like just totally negated by the fact that like I'm poisoning myself with heavy metals, like, or alumina. I don't know, light metals. It's like just
aluminum is heavy, dude. Aluminum is heavy shit.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, like periodic table where it lies. I haven't seen a periodic table in a couple months, but I don't mean heavy like, oh, it's a heavy molecule, heavy element. I mean, it's heavy like you get some aluminum in you. It's pretty rough what it does in your body.
Yeah.
So, and these are the things like I'm really into right now, which is like these little things like what do I cook my food in? Like cooking stuff in plastic water bottles, aluminum foil. Like I love these barbecue shows, dude. I like just love watching some barbecue shows, and like they cook so much barbecue in tin foil. It just breaks my heart, and I know why they do it because it obviously adds so much flavor, and it's how people have been doing it for years, right? So it's like you've learned how to do it like that, and you expect the quality from that. But at the same time, dude, if you understood, bro, just the the exposure to those metals, aluminum, tin, whatever it is, the plastic, bro, it's like, well, I don't know how I got this cancer. Well, I could probably point a couple things, your way and say,
right, yeah,
this didn't help it,
No, I'm thinking about it. It's like even just like even just wiping off the tin foil like before you use it is probably in your best interest, because it's not sanitary like out of the box, right? And it probably has some kind of residue on it. I haven't researched any of it, but just from what I know about things, you know what I mean? It's like, they're like, and just like,
I swear this is like
how like just like low grade poisoning happens over time. It's like it's and that actually reminds me of I don't know if we have time to get into it, but the next story about what is it, the oh geez, what was it about? It was about
Physical activity jolts the brain.
the pollution and dementia
Oh yeah,
thing.
right.
Yeah. It's like, how many of these like little things that we're doing every day, not to like, be alarmist and freak people out, but I think about that like a lot. It's like when I hear, you know, um, someone got, you know, um, whenever someone's diagnosed with cancer or whatever, it's like, what, they're probably genetically predisposed to whatever it was, but, and you're like, oh, that person seemed really healthy. It's like, well, they were, but they were cooking all their healthy food in tinfoil their whole life, like without even knowing it, or you know what I mean? Or like,
Yeah.
just these weird environmental things that like, oh, well, like, there was, they didn't scrape all the lead out of that building, for those like, and you lived there for 15 years and, in your 20s and 30s. And now, because like, I've lived in some real shitholes, and like
That's a vibe.
it's like there's something about those places where you're like, they feel like shitholes, maybe not because of like, it's like they're shitholes because they are poison.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Aesthetically
yeah,
not pleasing makes you think that it's a shithole because of that, but it's
yeah.
really a shithole because there's lead in the paint.
Mhm.
There's lead in the paint. There's glues that they put the tile down with that you
Yeah,
got
like,
mold.
just no one even thought of it. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
it's so true.
Mhm.
And dementia, it's like it's a scourge, man. It's a real problem, and they come out with all these drugs, and that's great. Or they're trying to come out with all these drugs, and that's fantastic. But if you've got a person who's still like exposing themselves to aluminum, which is one of the main drivers of some of these beta amyloid plaques that lead to dementia. There's so many causes of dementia. That's just
Oh yeah,
one part
yeah,
of
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And typically people who like who live like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you. I'm saying that it's an awareness thing. Once you become aware, like, oh, I shouldn't cook food in aluminum. You also are probably the type of person who might have a lot of sugar, high carbohydrate
Mhm.
diet, and that's like one of the main drivers of Alzheimer's as well, because Alzheimer's we know
Real,
is
yeah.
type 3 diabetes, right?
Real quick,
So yeah,
just not to, it's still on topic, but so if I'm not going to use aluminum to wrap my burrito, uh, what alternatives are there?
you're putting it in the oven.
Yes.
I would
Mhm.
imagine you're not putting it in the microwave.
Not wrapped in tinfoil.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Although once I have dementia,
It's fair game, my friend.
there will probably end up being some tinfoil burritos in the microwave.
Just go for just go for it at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even know. You're like, oh, look at this
Oh, you
pretty
don't even.
shiny
Yeah.
wrapping.
Oh, who cares?
Why not?
Who cares?
Um,
But like,
I
not
would,
only that, you're using the microwave and probably, um. Anyway, but.
yeah, you're a disaster.
Mhm.
You when anything I cook in the oven, I put in glass. I have like these glass oven cookware, I guess.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll just
And
use
what?
a
And you put
plate.
and you put a lid on it.
No, I just
Because the whole point of the tinfoil is to
is to like keep it.
create,
It's gonna get hot, dude. You just have to have patience. Might have to cook it a little longer.
right? But a burrito is going to get like really crispy is the problem.
Well, you're eating a burrito that's supposed to be in a microwave, and you want it to be this restaurant quality burrito. I think it just comes down to being honest with yourself. You already lost
But
at
it's so,
life.
but I will admit it's tasty.
I don't doubt that at all, but you also have to be real. Like, okay, I'm trying to do the best for myself,
Mhm.
but I'm eating an Amy's burrito.
Yeah.
that
doing the
Amy
best,
herself.
doing the best for yourself.
Don't they have like
probably ended somewhere in the grocery aisle. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you pick
You're already in the middle of is that in the frozen section? You get that?
Yeah.
That we'll see. Why are you even in the frozen section of the grocery store?
It's true.
There's nothing. There's nothing good going on, and someone might be like screaming, "Oh my God! What about the frozen vegetables?"
Mm-hmm.
Stop it, dude. You know you're lying to yourself. I know Dr. Greger, the vegan god doctor, tells you that frozen vegetables just, but come on.
I was in the freezer section, scoping out the Beyond Burgers. So,
well, dude, you actually just like made me lose even more respect for you. I don't know why you even telling me. I would keep that a secret.
Yeah. What is wrong with the Beyond brand products?
Buddy, just look at everything we just were talking about, the ingredient list. Look at the ingredient list of Beyond Burger, and then you've got your answer right there.
Let's let's do that next week. Let's look at the and I have another product for you. Because as you know, I like cereal so much. That was like when we first started working together on my health. It was like my food mood journal was just, I ate cereal, felt like shit. Weirdly, ate a whole box of it, the next day. But
what was the cereal again? Remind me.
The cereal that I used to eat.
Yeah.
I forgot. There was a specific one that I was on at that time.
You were on.
I remember where. Yeah.
Was it Cocoa Puffs or something?
It
was
might
it
have
like
been. Yeah.
It was one of those. It was one of those classic cereals where even
Yeah.
my heart hurt a little bit, like
Yeah.
telling you to not do this.
Yeah.
Because I used to eat that cereal. Like I used to eat so much cereal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was never a time where I didn't have at least 6 different boxes of cereal. Because you go to the store and it's like 6 boxes for $3. You're like, duh,
Yeah.
who wouldn't do that? Right?
Because it's like not food. But I got the Magic Spoon cereal.
Oh, I've heard of this. Don't know much about it.
Let's talk about both these things next week.
That's a good place. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good place. It's a good place to stop here, but
yeah.
Keep people hanging. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah.
We'll pull up the Magic Spoon ingredient list and we'll,
Yeah, because I mean, spoiler alert. I really like them. Obviously, well, not obviously, but yeah. So
it's like a keto junk food thing.
It's like a keto junk food thing, and like I know all of the bad things that go on with those kinds of products, and I think it's always like you have that reckoning where you're like, oh, this is actually just like kind of a gateway into, getting that hit, it's like,
you're like trying to methadone it and you're like, dude, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I just went and got some Cocoa Puffs?
Right.
What if I just went and got some cocoa? Like, who's gonna hurt? Who's this gonna hurt?
Who's it gonna hurt? And yeah, and we can talk about it a little bit more about like why even if it is like this or that, like why I still am like I still am I still wouldn't want to like eliminate it entirely.
All right, so let's put a little bow on that. I like it, and I'm gonna challenge the viewer who has made it all the way to the end. Viewer, listening to what we're gonna get into next week, why don't you send us some questions or put some questions down in the comment box that you would like me to ask Nick about why he's doing this to himself, about why he feels the need to relapse into the keto junk food, specifically cereal. Leave your thoughts and comments down in the comments box. We're going to read them. We're going to check them out. And we're going to present them to you, Nick. You're going to have to face the truth. And it's going to be tough. But I'll
Sure.
be here for you.
And
We've done this before.
I will also challenge the viewer who has made it this far to leave your comments and maybe ask like, hey, what's the big deal? What's the big deal?
Yeah, let's do it. What's the big deal? You
okay.
know.
These are the formats. Like, what's the big deal? Yada 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 yada.
And we'll,
Nick, why are you doing this to yourself? Yada 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 yada. You know better or whatever.
yeah. Feel free to leave that stuff down in the comments. We will read them live in the next stream. This time next. The timing's a little inconsistent. We'll work on that.
No,
but seems like Wednesday's a good stream day, and we'll hop to it. Like,
yeah. Remember to like and subscribe.
Give it a thumbs up. Like,
so
subscribe.
Important.
Share it.
Click the little bell.
Click the bell.
Perfect.
And watch out Friday, because that's when the next Holistic Nootropics podcast drops. And fall's coming. We have a whole bunch of YouTube content that's going to come out. I'm so excited to get this out to you guys. And so make sure you subscribe, because you're going to get all of that stuff in your YouTube feed. It's going to make you smarter. It's going to make you better. It's going to make you faster, stronger, harder. You're going to be so focused. The flow's going to be flowing. You're going to start getting all this crap out of your life. You're not going to spend money on Weight Watchers anymore. You're not going to watch YouTube influencers trying to tell you nonsense. You're going to get the real deal, and that's coming out in the fall.
For sure.
Excited. Well, Nick, everybody, this has been real.
All right.
Thank you for the couple people that tuned in.
Have a great rest of your week.
Peace.